The threat level in Great Britain has been raised to critical. The Prime Minister there says that the possibility of an attack would be imminent. She also ordered 5,000 military members to go out and disperse amongst the country.
Armed military members.
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, when you go to Great Britain, one of the things, if you're in London, you want to watch the changing of the guard. The changing of the guard has been canceled today because they've taken those police members who normally take care of securing the area, and they've redeployed them throughout London. So things are afoot, and the Home Secretary says it seems likely that this man did not act alone. They're worried about another terror cell.
All right, let's bring in Michelle Malkin now. You know, she's host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com. And Michelle, we've talked to you so many times before after a terror attack. Now we're seeing there's a difference now that they're already sensing between how the president's responding to attack to one of our allies and how President Obama did.
Yeah, I think that there is a huge difference in how Donald Trump very immediately with moral clarity responded. Over the years, I spent many hours sick to my stomach with the Obama, John Kerry stance of almost apathy and the same attitude that you're now seeing from the jihad-coddling London mayor there, which is, well, this is just the cost of doing business and
Michelle,
living in Western
nice
civilizational now.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it's always nice when you can see an example of this. And we have some sound bites of President Obama and his response to terror versus President Trump. So let's watch this and we'll get your response.
Still learning all the facts. This is an open investigation. We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer.
I won't call them monsters because they would like that term. They would think that's a great name.
I've directed that we must spare no effort to determine what, if any, inspiration or association this killer may have had with terrorist groups. What is clear is that he was a person filled with hatred.
I will call them from now on losers because that's what they are. They're losers. And we'll have more of them. But they're losers. Just remember that.
All right, Michelle, what's your response?
There you go. Moral clarity versus moral ambiguity. I will never forget that President Obama, before he was a president, his response to 9/11 was that the reason for Islamic terrorism was that they lacked empathy and they grew up in a climate of poverty. I mean, the cluelessness here. Let's just take the jihadis in Britain alone. 2/3 of them came from middle-class families. Osama bin Laden was a millionaire, if not a billionaire. So many of these jihadis did not suffer from lack of exposure to the West. They were educated by the West. They were Western doctors. Look at Afia Siddiqui, who was one of the jihadis here in America, educated at MIT. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was a mechanical engineer who earned a degree at Chowan University in Tennessee. These people do not lack educations. We do not need a midnight basketball social justice approach to terrorism, and that is the main difference that we've seen in the Obama administration and the Trump administration.
Well, we are learning about this particular suicide bomber, 22-year-old Salman Abedi. This guy was a dropout. He dropped out of college. His parents were from Libya. It sounds like he just got back from Libya in the last week. And apparently MI5 knew about him, but he was not on an active list, it sounds like, an active investigation. But apparently they also deemed him not a high risk. It sounds like in this particular case, they dropped the ball. I mean, if the guy gets off the plane from Libya this week and nobody's keeping an eye on him, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's right. Patrick Poole, who is one of the best terror bloggers and terror analysts in this country, if not the planet, coined the phrase "known wolf." And both Britain and Europe and America have been infiltrated by them. My heart went out to Katie Hopkins, who was on your show earlier, because she expressed the outrage and the frustration that many people in Britain and, of course, many people in America have had, that we have people who have been blind, deaf, and dumb to jihad and have allowed these people to come and walk in our open doors, the front doors, not just the back doors and the side doors. And to paraphrase the historian Arnold Toynbee, of course, civilizations die from suicide, not by murder. They do it to themselves.
Meanwhile, Katie Hopkins was with us earlier. She spoke from the heart from Britain. She's fed up. She's fed up with the response. She's fed up with politicians. She's tired of being a target. Listen.
I do think I speak for people who recognise that we're making choices in this country. We chose to let a jihadi back in, and we chose, therefore, for our little girls to be slaughtered. We choose to protect the human rights of jihadis, 3,000 of whom are roaming those streets because their human rights matter more. We're defending that over our small babies. And I think many mothers like me, many fathers, many normal people perhaps, just feel that we've had enough now. We've had enough. We're tired of buying into the narrative that we're strong and the jihadis are weak. No, we've been knocked down, we've been trampled on, and I think the general population is fed up with being treated so awfully. We want jihadists out of this country or locked up. They cannot have rights over our sons and daughters.
She went on to say, you watched the interview, you said, she's talking to her 3 kids at the breakfast table, and the conversations that we have to have with our kids now at such a young age to explain what was happening at this concert. What are you telling your children?
Well, my kids are now 16 and 13, and as long as they've been able to comprehend evil in this world, I've let them know what they have to face and deal with. My daughter was just a toddler when 2001 happened. She was old enough to remember when Saddam Hussein was captured, and we don't whitewash it for them, and I think that is so important. And it's the only way that you're going to inoculate kids from the same kind of woolly-headed, moral equivalence thinking that helped get us into this mess in the first place. And it's this self-censorship that Katie Hopkins also talked about, the inability to define and to pinpoint the roots of Islamic violence and Islamic imperialism that have dominated. I mean, when you have these refugees who are welcomed into your country and you fail at the basic goal and the basic requirement of assimilation in the country, this is what you end up with.
Sure. Something else that Katie Hopkins talked a little bit about was how she was receiving email from some of her readers talking about how after this now they're afraid to go out to dinner, afraid to go to concerts and stuff like that. Justin Bieber apparently has got a scheduled concert in London, I believe, in July. His fans are calling for him, you know, we don't know that we can be protected there. Justin, please cancel your dates in the United Kingdom. And then you've got Katy Perry, Michelle Malkin, who is a contemporary of Ariana Grande. She was on the radio yesterday, and she's got an idea on how we should go ahead and do something about terror around the world. Listen to this and then some of your analysis.
The greatest thing we can do is just unite and love on each other, and like no barriers, no borders. Like we all need to just coexist.
True. Right. This
yeah, tell that to the
down. Just kind of love each other.
Unite, love, no barriers, no borders. I mean, she's obviously speaking from her heart. How
and
effective
coexist.
How effective is that?
This is a good strategy. I'm going to pass this on.
Let's start and see if she's going to drop all of her bodyguards and turn off her security systems in her own home. I think that the next time we welcome Muslim refugees from Syria or Yemen into this country, that we should send them to her house. And it is just more of that sort of limousine, Gulfstream, liberal mindset of these celebrities who just do not operate in any sense of reality. I mean, there are people around the world now who are struggling to exist because they have to fight against Islamic imperialists who don't think that they should exist at all merely because they don't believe and accept in Islam and refuse to be subjugated. The second point I want to make about people like Justin Bieber and these celebrities is at the same time that they preach these platitudes, these are people who are making a lot of money by going to tour in places like the Middle East where gays are thrown off buildings and women are subjected to forced marriages and young girls have to be subjected to female genital mutilation. We don't hear from feminist Katy Perry about all of the brutal practices that are accepted by Islamic imperialists and that have been imported into this country.
Well, we just got to coexist. I'll tell you, everyone's got their own theory. Hey, Michelle, thanks so much.
Thanks, Michelle. Katy Perry needs to remember these terrorists don't want to coexist.
Oh, they don't want to coexist.
Write that one down, Brian.